Come along, let's visit the world famous KICC in Nairobi, Kenya, while I share some of my culture shocks and first impressions of the country. I recently arrived in Nairobi and this is my first day out doing tourist stuff. There's a lot to do in and around Nairobi city center, but in the meantime, let's travel across the city to get to the center of the action. Culture shock number 1, traffic in Nairobi. Matatus are the primary form of transport for many in the city. I have heard a lot about these buses from Kenyan friends I met in Nigeria, and the artistic license these drivers have on their buses is wonderful to witness. I'm used to buses having a uniform and honestly boring design. No two Matatus are the same, and I'm here for it. We're stuck in traffic in this video, and it made sense for us to come down and walk to our destination. The Matatus I entered had a 2-2 configuration in the back with space for 2 passengers in the front. It's not the fastest way to get around town, but it might be the cheapest. I entered the Matatu 3 times during my visit, and the pricing system is confusing but refreshing. There are different prices for the different times of the day, and these prices are communicated at the parks, and one driver had it printed and laminated on A4 paper. The trip might cost you 200 shillings during rush hour, then cost 60 shillings at 2 p.m. on a Wednesday. Prices change and gouging happens everywhere, but this is the first time I've seen it happen uniformly. It's good to know what to expect. The Kenyatta International Convention Center, KICC, is one of the most famous Nairobi landmarks and a must visit on your next trip to Kenya. After independence, Kenya decided to invest in a state-of-the-art conference center and landmark that will cement its position as one of the major countries in the region. KICC was designed in 1967 by Carl Henrik Ludwig, a Norwegian architect. It was officially opened on September 11th, 1973, 51 years ago. KICC is a building unlike any other in the city. KICC still hosts events and conferences today. There are more options these days for conferences and events, so it faces competition from newer and more modern buildings, but it continues to serve its purpose. There are also businesses at KICC, and I remember visiting a Kenya Airways office on the ground floor, trying to make changes to my itinerary. Many tourists visit KICC to enjoy unquestionable views of the city, and no online post of your visit to Kenya is complete without content from the KICC helipad. During the 2024 Kenyan protest, this area was a major staging ground for many protesters. KICC is named after Jomo Kenyatta, Kenya's first president. While researching this part of the video, I got lost in a maze of Kenyan politics and learned a lot, too much to be honest. Kenyatta was Kenya's first president and also led the country as prime minister before becoming president. I'm not going to talk too much about Kenyatta's time as president and his legacy in the role. Kenyans in the comments can chime in about his time and legacy if motivated to do so. First time I learned about Kenyatta and Kenya as a child, I thought the country was named after him. Looking back now, it sounds ridiculous, but I also thought Arsenal Football Club was named after Arsene Wenger. KICC is named after Kenyatta, and this statue is a representation of his significance to the country. One wild fact I learned during my research is that until 2023, only 4 people had ever led Kenya, and when you count the current president, 5 people or 5 men in total have been president of Kenya in history. No offense, but I think extended leadership terms are popular in East Africa. Moi in Kenya, Kagame in Rwanda, Museveni in Uganda, Nyerere in Tanzania, Meles in Ethiopia, and more. Why do you think that's the case? The second culture shock for this video is mobile money. Mobile money is king in Kenya. M-Pesa is synonymous with money in this country, and without an account, it might be hard for you to get the most out of the experience and get around, to be honest. People looked at me weird when I pulled out cash to pay for stuff, and most people claim not to have change as they didn't hold cash, but I think the dealers wanted to keep my money. Mobile money, USSD payments are popular in many countries on the continent, but it's more than just popular in Kenya. It's low-key institutionalized. I never got the same during my stay, so I'm thankful for my host. I saw people pay for matatus with mobile money, so only God knows what Kenyans pay for with mobile money. The third quote-unquote culture shock is I visited Kenya during the first quarter of 2024 before the famous or infamous Kenya protest. I had spoken to tens of Kenyan citizens in the country and other countries I visited, and the sentiments were similar. Most people were tired and unhappy with the reality of things in the country. Almost nobody had anything decent to say, and when I got into the country, the vibe remained cold. Not towards foreigners, but towards the government. I didn't know, neither did I know how, but I was fairly confident that something was brewing beneath the surface. It's a similar feeling, and it's an emotion that myself and millions of other Nigerians experienced leading up to the NSAS protest in 2020. People talk a lot about Gen Zs, and it's unfortunate that we have to start out lives in a time where people our age across most countries cannot dream of living decent lives with the wages we earn. What a time to be alive, and what a time to be a young person. KICC is located in a sensitive area of Nairobi, and security measures are expected. This was in early 2024, and we had to pass a security control point at the gate to gain access access to the premises. There wasn't much going on in the compound when we visited, but the Kenyatta statue will always be there, hopefully. My Kenyan friend submitted her ID and I followed her. I didn't have to submit any ID because she had already done. The lobby feels unique and there's no question that you're entering a 50-year-old building. The design isn't as flashy as the new buildings with glass facade, and the interior is relatively dark. There is a ticket counter for the helipad and we went to pay. I did not know how much we paid. My host handled it all, but knowing Kenya, there is most likely a different price for foreigners. Anyway, there are businesses on the ground floor and I visited one of them on our way out. I don't know if it makes most sense, but considering the foot traffic from foreign nationals, it makes sense why certain businesses will be located here. We took one of the elevators up and the interior was designed with Kenya tourism posters. It felt like I was in a billboard, but I can't fault the good also. If it works, it works. The elevator doesn't take you to the helipad, unfortunately, but I believe it stopped on the 27th floor. We had to climb a few flights of stairs to get to the first viewing area. The first viewing platform had railing and I thought we had arrived at our final location. The view was cute, but a bit underwhelming, to be honest. My host informed me that we still had to go to the helipad. We literally went around the perimeter at least twice, trying to find the spiral staircase to the helipad. We went back down to the help desk on the 27th floor. There we met some other tourists going up. They assured us they knew the secret entrance. We finally found a way up and I low-key was a bit disappointed. A Kenyan and Nigerian had to seek help from Germans to find a location in the building. I don't know if it makes sense, but it kind of makes sense to me. My next culture shock in this video is that Kenyans have to brave incredible queues. If you're a Nairobian resident, I'm sure you know this. For those living outside the city center, queuing around the National Library, or is it National Museum? I'm not sure. It's a part of life. My God, I saw incredible queues wrap around buildings and entire streets. Each location had its own loading point, and veteran Nairobi residents know where their locations are. Seeing such long queues conjured mixed emotions. On one hand, I'm proud that Kenyans can be disorderly, but the length of these queues gave me anxiety. The views from KICC were wonderful, and you can see so much from this phallic-shaped building. My host acted as an emergency tour guide and explained what I see to me. I remember the Nairobi National Park, scenic train tracks, Westlands, Eastleigh or Eastleigh, Governor's Office, the Nairobi Expressway, and much more. 10 out of 10 experience in my opinion. My experience here might be different from what you experience if you end up visiting Kenya because a lot has happened between now and then. The next culture shock that pissed me off royally was the different prices for tourists and locals. I understand that Kenya depends considerably on tourism, but the prices I had to pay to visit spots were incredible and mind-numbing. Love the fact that there are provisions made for non-Kenyan residents to pay similar prices to Kenyans and citizens of other East African community states. I hope and believe that other Africans should get similar considerations, and this is not just in Kenya but other tourism-dependent countries. These prices were for people earning euros and dollars, not me with my weak currency. I'm not against different prices for locals and foreigners, but understand that Africans also want to visit, and we do not have the currency strength to go aura for aura with non-African. Next culture shock was that Kenyans are very online. I don't even try to deny it. Stop. Don't try to deny it. Delete your comment. Every now and then, I stumble into Kenyan Twitter, and almost every time, I'm astounded by how online Kenyans are. I'm not saying this is a bad thing, but young Kenyans love their social media. I only know about Twitter because it's the only app I use that connects me to people I've never interacted with. I also love to see how Kenyans banded together to use their online superpowers for good when talking about femicide, corruption, and how Tanzanians allegedly cannot speak English. The Kenya-Tanzania online beef is one of the most unhinged BS I've ever witnessed, but who am I to judge? Nigerians and Ghanaians do worse. Before we go our separate way, here are a few disclaimers. If you're still here with me, thank you for sticking with me. You can find your complimentary chapati at the exit. I must confess that most of my experiences here weren't shocking to me at all. I blended in well in the country. YouTube loves these types of videos, and I'm shamelessly doing what works. My Kenyan trip left much to be desired, but what it lacked in luster, my amazing host more than made up for it by going the extra mile to ensure that the experience was as great as possible. I was extorted at the border, and that messed up my entire trip, but my host and our family are incredible people. If just 1% of Kenyans are like them, then this country really has what it takes to become Africa's next giant. I know I just talked about it, but shout out to my host for real. I love and appreciate these people. I had no expectations as to what Kenyans were like coming in, but these amazing people set the bar really high. I don't know if I'll ever visit visit Kenya again, and this is the last video from the trip. I happily take the good and the bad from this trip and wrap it up into a mental sandwich. My sojourn in Kenya was characterized by great people doing good things for a stranger. Asante sana, tuonane hivi karibuni, hopefully. Please subscribe and leave a comment on this video if you're still here. You have no idea how important doing this is for both of us. Thank you as you click the big beautiful subscribe button.